one, action. Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Nathan Akpan from the Trifecta of Transformation. Today, as usual, we are here for episode 4. And for those of you who might be joining us for the first time, the Trifecta of Transformation is a live or Facebook live show with 3 wonderful, and as Dan would say, dynamic coaches. And our goal is to deliver a live coaching to you with a particular live scenario, which we call the hot seat. So every week we endeavor to come together with a new hot seat um, guest and try to coach them through their particular problem, issue, or situation. And you will have the opportunity of witnessing, um, you know, their transformation before your eyes, but also the variance of responses between 3 very different coaches. Today, we have a wonderful guest for you who will be asking a question centered around money. Now, I don't know what the question is, so that is going to be the fun part. You'll get to watch and you'll get to listen along with us. Now, as part of the trifecta, we've got the wonderful Mr. Dan Mangena, the the dreamer CEO, with us here in the house today. And Dan is a speaker, is an author, is a coach, and today he will be sharing some of his wealth of knowledge, especially around money, with you guys. Not last but not the least, certainly not the least. She's the boss around here. Is Miss Ayokolade, and she is NLP coach, trainer extraordinaire. And as we just found out today, should I break the news? Should I break the news?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
All right.
Go
So
on,
we
do
just
it.
found out today. She is going to be listed in the next upcoming episode or publication of Thrive Magazine as one of the top 10 NLP coaches in the industry. And that is a great, great honor, but one that is really deserved because Ayo is wonderful and transformation is what she does. So without further ado, we're going to get into, hold on. I think no one's on here because the privacy was not public. All right, let's do that. It is public now. People should see it. All right, pardon us. Okay, so your friends and family will all see it. So before we get into the hot seat, the first part of the trifecta of transformation, the first part of the show is usually what we call a thought of the week. This is where one of the coaches happens to deliver a thought, okay? And this week it will be Mr. Dan Mangena. He will happen to deliver his thought of the week. Maybe it was something that inspired him from the week, something that really stuck out in his mind to get us started, to get the juices flowing. And after that, we will go right into the hot seat where we'll have Ruben, who is waiting in the waiting room, come on up and join us on the hot seat. But before further ado, or without further ado, we'll go into the thought of the week. Dan, are you ready? He
Should I
is
go?
ready.
I was waiting for it to go.
The floor is yours.
Hey everyone. So my thought of the week was on the idea of leaving things in the past. So I was having a conversation with someone talking about trauma and saying the comment that was made was, "Oh, I wish I didn't know about this stuff because I was fine before I knew about it." So they were of the belief that as long as the trauma was under the surface, they were fine. The discussion moved on and we came to understand, well, actually, no, because the effects of it was still happening. It just you weren't consciously aware of it. And then the conversation moved on to, well, it's in the past. And my thought was, well, if something hasn't been tackled, it's not really in the past, is it? It's still here. It's just underneath the consciousness. So I posted about it this week, and the post was simple. If you haven't dealt with it, it's not in the past. It's very much here and now, because the energy of that thing is still expressing in your world, even if you don't know consciously that it's doing it or you're not aware of it. Pretty much guarantee the energies they're expressing.
Excellent. Wow. That is a very powerful thought. And I think it reminds me of the last trifecta episode that we had with what was her name again?
Dahlia.
Dahlia, right? And the whole situation that she presented, where something that was way in the past was still present. And it is so true. And trauma is never really in the past until it is dealt with. And that's why it's trauma, right? Because it keeps coming back and it keeps coming back and it keeps playing itself in that present reality. So, wow, great thought. Thank you for that thought, Dan. Madam Ayo, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I just think it's a fantastic thought to share. And it really, really does resonate so deeply with the work that I do. I mean, primarily, a lot of the work that I do with my clients stems around releasing emotions and traumas and negative emotions specifically from the past, and helping them to understand how they have such a significant impact on the here and in the future if they're not dealt with. And it reminds me of, I think it was Freud, maybe. He's not one of my favorite psychologists, but he had some really, really interesting things to say. Yeah, you can be shocked if you want to. You can come back and
No. Actually, I thought you said Jung. I was like, what?
No, yeah, exactly.
Freud was not my favorite either. So no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. He said emotions that are unexpressed come forth in uglier ways, or the emotions that are not dealt with, they come forth in the future in much uglier ways. So it's really important to actually address, deal with, express the emotion. And in my field of thought and the work that I do, actually clear the emotion from the past so it doesn't have an unconscious impact on the now and in the future. Because all of that sort of material that's running in the background, all of that material that is actually being suppressed by the unconscious mind, keeping it at bay, it takes up and consumes so much of our psychic energy, so much of our energetic, it just consumes us. And when we actually release those emotions and deal with the trauma and address it and process it and let it go, then we have so much more energy to actually focus our lives, focus our mind, focus our direction on things that we actually want to achieve, rather than unconsciously using that energy to be directed to suppressing emotions and keeping things at bay that are actually running in the background. And when we learn how to let go of the stuff in the past, we just have so much more energy to direct our life in the direction that we actually want it to go in, rather than having those unconscious patterns and programs which are being run by that unconscious material in a direction that is probably actually in the opposite direction of where we want our lives to go. So I think it's really, really important concept to consider for sure. So thank you for bringing that to our awareness, Dan.
Absolutely, Dan. Hey, thanks for bringing that up. Ayo, to your point, I usually refer to it as psychic bandwidth. So it takes off your psychic bandwidth. And another analogy that I like to use is like, you've got windows open on your computer. You can open multiple windows, but the more windows you have, the less processing power you have for, let's say you wanted to do video editing, right? Now it's slowing down what you really want to do. And that is those past things that we have not dealt with. And Dan, thank you very much for that wonderful thought. Okay, so moving on rather rapidly, because we do tend to spend a fair amount of time on this part of the show. This is the core, the main part of the Trifecta of Transformation, and that is the hot seat. This is where we're going to bring a guest online, a guest who will present an issue, and we will we will coach this person through their problem. And today we're going to have Madam Ayo, Queen Ayo, do the introduction of the guest for us, as she does know our guest more directly than we do. So Ayo, up to you, please.
Thank you, Nathan. So we have joining us Mr. Ruben, and we're so pleased to have him join us live on the show. Ruben and I have been connected on Instagram for maybe a few months, and he decided he wanted to come on the show. I'm going to let him come on and explain what it is that the challenge that he's facing, and he can share more about that with us. and then we will do our best to help him to move forward. So without further ado, we welcome Ruben to the show.
All right, Ruben, ready or not?
Yes.
Here you go.
Hi guys, how are
Hello,
you?
Ruben.
Hey, Ruben.
I am fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for inviting me. Queen Oye,
Ayo.
Ayo. And you two guys, first time I get to know you. I'm really glad to be here, honored to be here, to be honest. I think when she told me that this opportunity was open, I was super happy to be part of it. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. We're really, really pleased to have you here. So thank you for being willing to join us.
So should I start with something, or you guys want to ask
Yes,
me?
please. So tell us what is on your mind today? What would you like a resolution? What would you like coaching through? If you could change something, what would it be? Tell us where you are, and we will walk with you through it.
So I resonate with the thought of the day, with the idea of not dealing with the stuff that is in the subconscious that is still present in the moment. So I've been working with it for a while, and I have cleaned up a lot. I didn't know how much I have. Like I have a lot in many different fields of my life, and I'm still think that one part that is still on developing, or if I will say one part of myself that I need to know and deal with it is the abundance part, and most specific the material abundance, because I feel that I that's probably the last part of the puzzle that I feel that I need to, but I know that everything is connected. So does it make sense?
Absolutely.
So on that part of the subconscious mind, I want to let you know, guys, that I kind of feel it for a long time, but I didn't know. I came to know about the subconscious mind and the trap emotions that we have like 1 year or 2 years ago, and I didn't know, but I always felt that when I was progressing, I literally boycott myself, or when I got to a position of success, I didn't feel this that I deserve it. Does make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's where I am right now. I'm if you wanna say I'm working on, I wouldn't say on blocking or healing trauma. I will say more about what I like. What the thought of the day says. I kind of want to know that aspect of myself that I didn't deal with it, that I didn't deal, but I still haven't found it, or I found it, but I still haven't been able to release it, because I think it comes from my father side. That when I was a kid, he kind of dropped some things on me that I at the time I didn't know, and I'm also part of the culture where I come. Some things are taken as are part of the culture. I don't know if you understand. Some ideas are kind of normalized when they are not normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the part of that I will say I kind of have an idea where it comes from. What I would like to know is how can I enter that emotion, and then look at it, love it, and accept it, and then let it go.
What emotion specifically is it that you are trying to?
I will say that yeah, I will say that I have a huge emotion of I think of not deserving. Like when thing comes to me, and in certain situations I feel that inside me, like that thing that is kind of like if I didn't deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And Ruben, we want to thank you very much for articulating that situation. I know you keep asking if we get it. I get it very well. You've done a good job of explaining it so far, and thank you. Where are you right now physically? What country? What state? Where are you?
I live in Vancouver, Canada. Although I originally born in Colombia, so
Okay.
and that's part of a lot of it, part of the culture where I come from. For instance, people with money or wealth or abundance are seen in a way negatively, linked to drug dealers, linked to corruption, linked to being arrogant, linked to things like that. And
Yes.
also it's a country where since as soon as you're born, the idea of money, and I come from a middle class, lower middle class, so the idea that you have to work really hard, that you have to suffer to get there, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and in Colombia, it's primarily Christian, but it's Catholic. Is that correct? Is it
Yeah,
more? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So my
Although
first instinct is
I'm not Catholic
okay.
or
Yeah.
anything like that. Like yeah.
Understood. My first instinct is to pass this on to Dan. The guy just wrote the book about money. He just wrote the book about money. Hey Dan,
You're in
where's your
safe
book?
hands.
I know. So I figured we'd pass it on to Dan. But man, that scenario is one that a lot of people deal with and face. So this scenario that you just put up is going to help a lot of other people other than yourself. And I want to really thank you for it. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for putting yourself out there. Because you see, a lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there. But if you don't ask for help, if you don't take the step, you never get the answers to your prayer, right? So
Yeah.
thank you again, Dan. Would you want to go?
Sure. It was like, I know what he's going to
You
do.
said no. I would still make it. I was like, all right. So, Dan Mangena, and Dan, please, if you could just briefly give us a quick, 15-second synopsis of who you are, the way you would like it before we begin.
So I'm Dan Mangena. Some of you know, some of you won't. I am all of my catchphrase is empowering you to choose a more abundant, joyful, purpose-driven life. And the reason why I tend to focus on financial abundance in the first instance is that a lot of the stories that people tell themselves around abundance are limited by money. Money is a medium of exchange. It gives us the power of choice. So what I love to do is I love to break down beyond the physical, beyond even the mindset, beyond even the emotional, what's going on with what we actually desire. Because some people get stuck achieving something, not because they have got the wrong mindset and not because they've got the wrong strategy, that deep down they don't actually desire it. So I have a question for you. Do you really, really desire financial abundance?
That's a good question, and that's something that it was brought out to me recently. In the sense, somebody told me you're not rich because you don't really want it. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't get something, it's because you don't really want it. Then they talk about a second part of it, and yes, I that's the part where probably unconsciously I'm not wanting it.
Okay.
And that's what I said. It comes from probably if I get it, I will be rejected by my family. Unconsciously, probably I am feeling that, right? Or I have fear of that when it comes, it will go, or I don't know what's the fear. Like I have an idea, I don't know what it is, what I don't know, or I'm working on it, or it's accessing that part and then feeling kind of more relaxed about it.
Okay, I've got a really cool hack for you. You ready?
Yeah.
None of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter what was hiding and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
Here and now, do you want to have enough desire to create a change?
Yes, I'm working on it. Yes, I want a desire, and
here and now. Forget about
here and now.
Brand new moment, blank slate. Everything from the past doesn't matter. Here and now, Ruben. Your opportunity, your chance. Do you want it?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to breathe that in. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to breathe that in. Breathe in that wanting, breathe in that desire. And I want you to allow yourself to start to see a picture of you enjoying financial abundance. How are you going to do your hair? What clothes are you going to wear? What does it feel like in the morning? Does somebody bring you breakfast? Are you in the same house? Are you in a bigger house? Do you drive the same car? Do you go to work? Do you stay at home? See yourself being a good person. Maybe you see yourself giving to charity or supporting others. Maybe you see yourself sharing with people that aren't in a position to share, to do for themselves. Feel it. Tell me the first emotion that you can feel in your heart right now as you have this vision.
Tranquility, harmony.
Close your eyes still. Hold the vision. Give me another one.
I don't know. Peace is tranquility, harmony. I feel prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really, really happy to be able to provide to the people that I love.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Abierta tus ojos.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the crazy thing. The only thing standing between you and having financial abundance is being in that emotional state on a consistent basis. Because being in that state on a consistent basis is going to change the level of choice that you can make in your everyday life. Because our ability to choose what we do is limited to where we're at emotionally. An angry person can only make choices associated with an angry person. An abundant person is able to make choices at this level of abundance. So the choices that you're going to make, so the people that you're going to talk to, how you're going to spend your time, what you're going to read, all of that's going to support the vision that you hold for yourself. And what you've just identified with the exercise are the emotions that you relate to that experience. So here's the really cool thing. A lot of people like to talk about the law of attraction and all this kind of fancy stuff. But what we're really talking about is how we dance with reality. Everything around us is energy operating at different frequencies or in different forms. So it's the same energy of my bottle of water, my microphone. It's just in a different shape. It's like water. Sometimes it's ice, sometimes it's steam, sometimes it's liquid, but it's still H2O. The same thing, but when that thing is in a different environment, we experience it in a different way. So when we're looking at our world, what we're looking at is this energy I'm experiencing as a bottle of water. This I'm experiencing as a microphone. And then when I look at my bank account, it's exactly the same principle. That money or lack of money is the same energy that's expressing itself in a different way. If it expresses itself as a lot of money, that's one type of energy. If it expresses itself as a little bit of money, it's the same energy. But the difference between the two is created based on one very basic principle. We get a reality that doesn't match what we say we want. It matches who we are. And I don't mean that as an esoteric principle. I mean, our emotional state changes measurably how we are showing up in our world. And if that measurable state matches money, we'll get it. And if it matches not having money, then we won't get it. All of the other stuff that you're talking about, what happened, what people think about people with money, all of that stuff is only important because it changes who we are, how we're showing up. You might hear what my vibe is, what my frequency, what my vibration. All of this stuff is a really fancy way of saying, what is my emotional state? Everything else, my stories, my experiences, my trauma, my wins, they affect the emotional state that I'm able to hold. And my world responds as an exact match to what my emotional state is. So going back, when we did that exercise, you identified, you, Ruben, when you are in a state of abundance, your mind associates it with peace, tranquility, prosperity, giving. You saw what kind of way you do your hair, the way that you're going through life. That experience that you had matches those emotions. So once you're able to practice being in those emotions on a consistent basis, guess what? Your mind's going to change. You've heard of crimes of passion, right? Our emotional state can change how we think. The chemistry in our brain changes. And we all know about mind over matter. The way that we think at a deep way affects what we experience, what we see, and also what we're able to do. So if we start by saying, okay, I understand I've chosen to desire money. And I understand that when I'm in a space where I'm experiencing money, these are the emotions that I'm going to have. So what we're really then talking about, and this is probably what my co-host can help you with, is unblocking the path to you feeling those emotions and creating a new habit of thinking that helps you to hold those emotions and to make new choices on the back of those emotions. Because the opportunities to have money are in your life right now. This is a universal law called the law of polarity. The second that we have a desire, the corresponding opportunity automatically shows up in our physical world. Not a possibility, not some ideal. The opportunity becomes real. But if I don't believe it, or I'm holding unworthiness, or I'm not holding that emotional state, the opportunity is going to go right past me, or I'm going to take it and I'm going to self-sabotage. But if I'm holding the emotion, then that's going to start dictating my thought processes. It's going to start affecting the chemistry in my brain. And therefore, those opportunities, I'm going to see them. I'm going to do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis to follow through with it. I'm going to keep up with my daily work. I'm going to make the right calls. I'm going to make the right choices. Because you mark my words, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I pass it on to my co-host here. You have never failed at anything, Ruben. Never. We never fail. We are perfect manifesting, perfect executing machines. What happens is that we're winning at a game that we don't want to play. That's the difference. So when we change the game to what we want to play, and we set the instruction of what we truly desire, then we will win. But it's about changing the game. And that's what we're going to help you to do today. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Sure. I think that's you up, Nathan.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dan. Okay, so real quick, Dan, I'm going to come back to you so we can give Ruben something super actionable, just to be sure we get you clear. Is there a specific action, step, process, one thing in a nutshell that Ruben needs to do?
I would say what we'd want to do is, but I wanted to see what you guys said before I kind of picked what tool to give him on the back of that. I would have looped around. But essentially, it's going to come down to practicing the emotional state. Because at the moment, he's been looking at the brain. If we give him the strategies physically before he's assessed the brain situation, then it's going to go to naught. He's going to end up in a downward spiral. So I needed to identify the desire was there. The desire was wavering, but he's made the choice now to step into the desire. He's got the awareness now of the importance of desire. I've also given him the opportunity to viscerally experience that outcome, which means he's got the emotional blueprint to step into. So now it's about looking at how that fits into the brain, and then we'll come back and see, are we going to do check-ins? Maybe there's a resistance point that one of you is going to pick up and we need to do some clearing. Maybe there's instituting a micro shift around setting up some kind of connection to the experience of creating wealth for himself. If he's only ever had a job, the likelihood that wealth and abundance is going to be created is very low. But asking someone that's only ever had a job to go out and create abundance a different way, there's going to be a block. So it's about uncovering what gremlins are sitting there that are standing between him and stepping into that emotional state, now that we've made it clear that that's what we need to do.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Super. We got your back, man. Okay. So, Queen Io, do you want me to go, or are you ready to go? What's your status?
You go for it.
All right. Gentlemen first, I guess is how it is. Okay. So, Ruben, thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing that. I couldn't help but notice that when Dan asked you if you were ready, there was some hesitation. Um, so that is certainly something that we definitely need to, and I can understand when you're shifting an idea, there could be some stuttering and hesitation there. My question is again, Ruben, do you what do you want? Do you want money? Do you want what money can get you? Why is it even an issue? I mean, you live in a house right now. What is it that you want or you desire that you feel that more abundance would get for you?
As I said, I will feel the tranquility, the peace, the harmony of not needing it, not needing anything,
Okay.
and knowing that it flows constantly because you are a channel of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like whatever I do, it's abundance. It's not. It's not. I'm not particularly on one house or one car or this or that, or I think that's just a result of as he was saying, just the result of a vibration. So for me, it's more about is tuning to that vibration. It doesn't, for me, abundance is, it could be abundance in it's just a feeling, a state. That's the rest will come. Like I'm not attached to. It's just that state that I carry on me. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
Even if I don't have any money or I lost it, I have that state of me that is abundance, and I can go back again.
Right. So the very fact that your mind comes up with tranquility and peace as the desired outcome, as what would happen, only suggests that that is lacking in some way in your life. So my question is, how does it feel not being where you would like to be? How does that feel?
So can I explain something to you?
Yeah.
Yep. So as I mentioned, I come from a culture where success is all linked to money, or to be successful, or to be worthy. You know what I mean? It's quite linked because there is a lot of poverty. You know what I mean? So in the back of my mind, I'm great. Like I live in a place where I like. I have time. I do a lot of things. I still need to get into different space financially, but it's kind of that in my back that I still feel, even though I understand that that's nothing to be, but in my back there is kind of that annoyance that I'm not worthy or are not successful because I still don't have all the money I should. It does make sense?
Okay. So which means there is the need to release you. There is a certain attachment to having money. There's a certain belief, oh, if I have money, I'm good enough, right? But then there is a
Yes,
certain resistance that you experience that says, okay, people who have money are bad people. They're doing shady deals. They're this and the other. So you actually are experiencing some conflict. Am I correct?
Yeah, but keep in mind that all that is all of that is completely unconscious. As I told you, probably I've been looking into it, so I do understand that that can be in my back, in my mind, consciously. That doesn't make sense. Do
Right.
you know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
I understand 100%. Work in the subconscious mind, so I understand. It won't make conscious sense, but you know that it does exist. Now,
It does.
my
Yeah.
question is, how do you sabotage yourself? Because you had said that you
Yeah.
sometimes you use the word boycott specifically, but how do you either boycott or sabotage yourself? Is there an opportunity that comes to your mind that says, "Dang, why did I screw that up?"
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Give us an
I can,
example.
but it wasn't. I'll explain you. Like I'm from Colombia, and Colombia, what I did in Colombia was playing professional soccer. I started professionally playing professional at 17, and at 19 I was playing for the top team of Colombia. Let's say, are you guys from England? Let's say, I don't know what would be.
We're familiar with the teams. Throw it out.
It was Millonarios FC from Bogota, but it's kind of playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona in that country. Are they like the top team of the and it's kind of the everybody's dream. I was 19, I was playing, but I was so unhappy that you cannot imagine how unhappy and lonely I felt, and how empty I felt. When I have pretty much everything that everybody wants, and nothing that moment, nothing that world was offering me really resonated with me, and now today, probably after kind of debriefing it, I came. I don't know if it, as one of you said, it's not important what happened last time, but for what I now understand, it got to be with the rejection of my father or my mother that affect me in that moment. But honestly, to be honest, like, I quit soccer at 21. I quit. Nobody told me you gotta go. But and when I was, and it was because at that moment, like, it's all the process for me to get to pro. I enjoy it. I love it. When I get to professional, it wasn't enjoyable. I was delusionate. I lost motivation. And it was you know what I mean. That's when I say I boycott myself. And sort of the same happened, for instance, when I came to Canada. I start coaching, and they got to a level where almost the top coaching here in Canada, and at that moment, at the same kind of, I had the same feeling and have somewhat similar sensations that when I had before that moment. It does make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
So that's the part for me that I've been looking at, and I do understand all you guys say, and I love what you guys do. And I'm in that space where okay, I got the understanding now. I got it. Now I need to find a way to, I'll say, love myself, because it comes down to that.
There are many things in there, and I'm asking these questions because I know Ayo is going to probably catch them and deal with them at the end. My question is this: in the process of the pursuit, as you were going after these things, what were you thinking? What were you going after? Was it the money? Was it approval from your parents? Well, what was it that you were like, oh, let me get there and I will get? What were you telling yourself that you were going to get up there?
No, to be honest, all the process have always been because I love to do it. Like, I never thought about being a professional soccer player. It was just, I love the process. And that's why I told you that I enjoyed to get there. Like, it was amazing. I love the process. Okay. When I get there, and then kind of life demands you, the role demands you to be in a certain way. Got it? I feel I was gonna jeopardize my life, my potential, because when you play the role of professional, a professional soccer, like what I look around, all of that have just they were all playing a role, and all of them were the same. So when I got there, I didn't only feel lonely, but also feel rejected, because in many ways I was different than the other guys. So I was constantly kind of rejected in small ways. You know what I mean?
So what role were they playing, and what role were you playing? Because there's obviously a discrepancy.
No, it wasn't that. I was just being myself. I was, for instance, when I was playing soccer, I was still I was studying music and doing different things that I don't see anything wrong, but every time was kind of shocking for the other people. You know what I mean or not?
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was like, I'll explain you something that is very simple, but at the time was even a problem. I used to have the long hair, and man, it was a problem every time I go with some coaches. Things like as
Okay.
silly as that. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, Ruben, why do you think this was? Because you had opened it by saying that you think it was connected in some way with your father. Why do you think this had any connection to do with your father? Because the example, all of the examples you've given, none of it has anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, the long hairs, thing. Why do you think this is in any way connected with your father? Um, let's start there. We have the beliefs from your culture and
Yeah.
stuff around money, but
Yeah.
because I'm picking up some approval, right? So
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get the
Yeah. Yeah.
approval that
Yeah.
validates you, you interpret that as rejection, and then you're like, all right, I'm just gonna throw away all this stuff. Maybe you guys will like me then, or something like that, right? So there's this
Hmm.
dance between approval seeking and then
Hmm.
rejection. So what role does your father have in that whole picture?
You guys, you know that I know you guys are so you know that when you're a kid, you get a lot of information that you're not ready to process, and if you are not guided, you might get those emotions and have them inside, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So for instance, I got a lot of rejection. I today, as I told you, it's like I understand it more. Like it got nothing to be with my father, nothing with my mother, but uh, from my mom and my father, I was at the third kid, and I wasn't really. They didn't plan me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Yep, I do.
and the relationship with my father was always, it didn't even exist. If we wanna, like, it was mostly the time that I remember him was he telling me, this is not yours, you got nothing here, you kind of shut up. You know what I mean? And it
Yes.
wasn't at the moment, all these things even were laughable because of the culture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In our culture, a lot of making a kid cry is funny. It does make sense or not?
It does.
So
I do.
so
I grew up in Africa, Ruben, so I get some of those things. Go ahead.
when I grew up, uh, let's say my father was more keen with my older brother than with myself, and even when the fact that I play soccer, sometimes I probably think that I did it for getting that approval, than
Approval.
recognition, approval.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even
Yes.
unconsciously. I know I play soccer because honestly, soccer was the place where I feel value, where I found people to work with, and I didn't have that at home because my two brothers didn't have a connection. It was always a relationship of competition, but it wasn't like a lovely. It was very unsafe at my place. Kids, like, you know what I mean. I never feel safe at home, and all these things that I'm saying you today, it's because now I can in a way articulate them. This just came to understand. Like before, I didn't understand anything about being safe, anything, because for me it was normal. That was part of the culture. You grow up with your brothers, you fight every day, and they pick on you. You protect yourself, blah blah blah, and then you go have fun, go to the neighborhood, and everybody bully each other, do bullying, they make jokes, but it's all covered into jokes. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
so when I talk about my father, it's because um, we did never had that connection with him, and the father has a strong representation, which is kind of the father represents God, the mother represents Mother Earth in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and father represents for me that part of feeling protected, feeling safe, feeling that somebody's backing you up, and I never got that. So and that,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
It makes a
that's
lot
why.
of sense, man. It makes a lot of sense. Um, so just to kind of recap here from what I'm getting, and after that I'm going to pass to Ayo. She's going to say what she has to say, and then we're going to come back and kind of wrap it all around. So this picture of you growing up, you didn't feel safe, you did not feel validated. Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's not forget that there are a lot of things that children hear that is beyond what even you can remember. Okay. So there is
Mhm.
unconscious data that even validates that even more. So what you're getting here, it's like, the little shoot of a plant, the roots are deeper. Okay. But even
Mhm.
from what you remember, it all says there was no safety, there was no validation. When a person speaks the way you are talking, it just comes out. There's a lot of things that is coming out from your subconscious mind. The very fact that you were not planned for as a child says a lot, and that often has a very big impact on children, right? I wasn't
Mhm.
planned for. Okay, I wasn't planned for. If you treat me like I'm the best thing that ever happened to you, I'll forget about that. But then you treat me like I don't count, then that only validates the fact that you don't want me, right? So
Mhm.
there's rejection. So here's exactly what I wrote when you were writing. I said, wasn't safe, wasn't validated, rejected, seeks out rejection and the outsider story everywhere he goes. Because that was your basic story that you told yourself as a kid. That's what you were getting. So as an adult, what do we do? Our subconscious, remember what Dan says, the subconscious never loses, you never really fail at anything. So what the subconscious mind does, it will seek consistency
Mhm.
of the story. If you grew up being told you're the best thing since sliced bread, you would have gone through your life acting like the best thing, looking for proof. Someone could say, hey, Ruben, you're an idiot. You're like, whatever, you don't know. I'm the best thing, right? But
Mhm.
you're good at soccer. You're great at soccer. Somebody says, Ruben, you're really, really good. He was like, yeah, but you didn't tell me this in a certain way. So I mustn't be that good, right? Because we're
Mhm.
always looking for ways to confirm that story that we have within us. And your story was, I'm not wanted, I'm rejected, I'm invalidated, my kids make fun of me, everybody makes fun of me, like dad pays more attention to my brother. And so you then go off to the club, you go off to the football club, you're great, yeah, you might be different. There are other guys, they're probably hanging out with each other, and somehow you're like, yeah, I don't belong here, I probably should go, right? And all of a sudden you quit, right? And I don't know if any of that resonates with you, because you said you weren't fired. It wasn't like you did anything that meant you needed to leave, but you decided to walk away. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does resonate. Everything you say resonates. Keep in mind, the only thing that is that I never knew what was going on underneath.
Understandable. It's
You know
understandable.
what I mean?
See, under
Like all these things are exactly, but it was I felt those things, but I never had that like victimhood story of, oh no, I'm not good enough. But I never had it. But when when somebody, it's clearly when, you know, I always didn't see myself as probably other people saw me. So other people saw me, man, this guy is so good, and I never see me good enough. You know what I mean? The same with so it was there. That was exactly, but it wasn't. I wasn't conscious. I just
it
coming to know, to
was
be
correct.
conscious
Correct.
recently.
Right. So I'm giving
Yeah.
your emotion because I know you're a feeling guy, because you've used that word several times. You're a feeling guy. I was giving your emotion voice. That's what your emotion was saying. Okay. So you may
Yeah,
not
yeah,
have
yeah, for sure.
verbalized it, but that's what your
Yeah,
emotion
no,
was saying. And so,
exactly. That was
and
exactly what happened.
right. And they say understanding is power, because that is part of the reason why I'm also articulating it, so other people can, who are listening, can maybe say, oh shoot, that's me too, right? So some of the things I might already say what you already know, but This is the picture of what's going on. We're also teeing it up for Io, who's going to come and also do her thing. So you're seeking out the story everywhere. As we're gonna pass on to Io. Most likely, she's gonna ask you, what it is you want to create and all of that stuff. But where Dan is coming from was this. They say it is in a moment of decision that destiny is created. You really don't necessarily need to know what happened in the past to create the future if you can switch your mind. However, some people find it easier to look back and say, oh, that's where I came from. Okay, now I know what's going on, and then look forward. Either one is powerful. If you can just look forward, that's great. Okay, but we're here. We can piece the pieces. So we'll at least give you one glance back and then help you look forward. So it is very important to know that what Dan said, your life, you can literally change your life by just changing your mind about yourself in this moment and move forward. Okay, but since we deal with subconscious mind, very specifically Io and I, we kind of want to look at some of the interrelations so you know what's going on. Now, it is important that now that you understand what was happening in the past, you had said something about loving yourself more. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to make peace with your past. You're going to have to make peace with, your parents and all of those people. You're going to have to forgive yourself also, Ruben. Then after that, you're going to have to say, okay, now that I know, we know what the heck is going on. Now, what does Ruben want? Knowing what I know now, what is it that I wish to create? Right? And if you say, okay, now I want to be this, and you have those old feelings coming up and saying, well, I don't know if I'm good enough or this, that, and the other. Now you know the problem and you can arrest the situation. So we kind of deal with the past briefly, then we start charting the course forward into the future really, really quickly. If you were to get $1 million today, Ruben, what would you do with it?
I will invest it into something that makes it another million, and makes it. I will invest it in passive income.
What exactly would you invest in?
I will, at this moment, I will invest it in real estate. I will do part of it.
You would want to buy?
Pardon me?
Do you know what real estate you would buy?
I would love to buy a place where I can do some renovations or completely create a new, because I like architecture a lot and I have friends that work on it, and that's something that I'm gonna do some moment, like, because I like a lot of this.
When was the last time you looked at a property that you were gonna buy?
I do a lot. I walk a lot, so I wherever I walk, I'm looking at spaces where I'll say, okay, I would like to do this. I'm a teacher.
Okay, so
right now I'm a teacher. Like that's what I'm doing.
That's fine. So when was the last time you pulled up a website and you said, this house, that's definitely what I would use that money for?
I have an Instagram, like I follow a lot of architecture places, so I look a lot of houses every day that I'll say, I like this house. Like I will do this, or I will change that.
Right. That is part of the future that you would need to chart. Because if we don't have a clear design and you don't know exactly what I'd buy, Nathan, if you gave me $1 million right now, there's this property on this street that I had looked at. I've been looking at that property for the last 2 years. That's the one I would buy. It means you don't know exactly what you want. And that's part of manifestation, right? Because as you're starting to learn about the subconscious mind, you're probably learning about that. But I'm going to pass it on to Io now. So now we know that that story obviously came from your past and your relationship with the past. You know you can create the new future, because Dan is going to come back to that. But let us hear what Queen Io has to say. What she's been taking copious notes. Let us hear what she has to say, and then we'll put together an action plan for you. Okay?
Sounds good. Excellent. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate you playing along. Let's bring her on here. Are you ready, Io?
I'm actually going to come back and rock your world in a minute,
Oh, okay.
because Dan wants to come back in and just say a little something and assist you in making a shift before I do what I'm going to do. So if we can just have Dan share.
So, hey again. There was something that,
Thailand.
that I picked up on that Nathan spoke to, but I wanted to dig a little deeper on. And that's, did you really want to play football, or was it because you were using it to seek validation?
That's a good question, and it's also, keep in mind, it's hard to answer because I was a kid at it. Part of it, to be honest, I grew up in a place where that's all people do. Like I remember, like I'm very keen into art. I'm gonna tell you this. So art, it's very natural for me. Since I was a kid, I started dancing, and music has always been part. But I didn't grow up in a family that got nothing to do with art. And as a matter of fact, my father always expressed really badly about artists, telling them they are good for nothing, they are lazy, whatever. So soccer turned for me into, it was the only thing. Like around my neighborhood, everybody plays soccer, and soccer was with your friends was what we do. And then I would start being recognized and appreciated for it. So, and it happened organically. Didn't plan it to be that. That's what I told you. Like we were in the neighborhood playing. One day, all of us said, "Okay, let's go for a tryout there," and I was picked. And then from there, I started meeting people. And soccer for me was a place where I feel love, where I feel connected with other people. I feel safer playing soccer than at home, because my two brothers were older and they always were picking on me, and my mom didn't have any idea of borders or so home wasn't that safe for me. But soccer was the space where I enjoyed myself the most. And also it's very creative. Soccer for me is an art. I don't see it like a sport.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
But I agree. I certainly agree. That was the way I was looked at. You know what I mean? I exist because I play soccer in a way. Otherwise, I wouldn't exist. Like my older brother didn't play soccer, and he was pretty much ignored because all the attention of my father wasn't on especially on my middle brother, because his vibration was closer to him in the way. Give you an example. The style of soccer of my brother, or his attitude, was like, I'm very fighty. Whereas I was very calm and think, like I play most based on thinking, and my brother was more rough. And so, yeah, I agree with that. Like also, I found a lot of love in soccer. Like I'm grateful. Many coaches appreciate me more. Like it's crazy, more than my father. Like I went to games where, for the coach, I was even the captain of the team over my brother, and my father was in line screaming I was a pussy. You know what I mean? Things like that. But at that time, didn't even cross my mind. Now, today, I can, because today I got to understand all the subconscious mind and all the things that we acquire when we were kids. I didn't know anything about that. Today, I can see it from that perspective and say, okay, that could have made a sort of an effect on me.
So I'm going to offer you something, an idea. And what I'm going to offer is that you've spent your entire life not living on your own terms. Because soccer wasn't your choice, it was your escape, and it was what you knew. Your choice would have been art. So Ruben's life, authored as he would want it, would be doing some form of art. You found a way to express yourself artistically through soccer, but it wasn't in a fulfilling way because your desire wasn't to be in the soccer world. And even there, you were still feeling some semblance of oppression in the way that there was still abuse and picking on, versus being safe space, doing what you want, expressing yourself fully. So that's number one. So here comes the thing. If you've spent a decade into your formative years, your teens, into adulthood, doing something, not because you desire it, but because it's the only thing that was available to you, it's what social pressure and something, that means that you've spent a lot of time practicing giving your power away to other people. So when you're stepping into now saying, you know what, now I want to do something different, I want to take my artistic expression and funnel it, for example, into real estate and to create financial abundance, the sticking point is that you don't have a reference point for creating life on your terms. Unconsciously, your mind's going to be looking for, who's going to tell me what to do now? Who's going to tell me what to do? Who's going to map my life out for me? Where is the danger that I'm running away from?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And that was something that happened. What you're saying makes total sense, because for me, soccer also was a way, because I was told easily, like the path was there. I just need to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I quit soccer, I was completely lost. And in a certain way, since there, I've been looking for guessing here and there. Okay, I like this. I like this. I like this. And also dealing with my own rejection. And you know what I mean? Yeah, so it does make sense.
I'm going to pass it off to Io now, because when we're doing the strategy, I'm going to see, I've got some ideas for you. But what I'm going to say to you as a thing is, this isn't about money. And in fact, my feeling is that even going for money could be because you're looking for that to be the thing that saves you.
Yeah,
versus
100%.
it being a natural byproduct of you creating and adding value to the world. And if you're looking for money,
100%.
it's still going to be a toxic relationship with money, and nothing's going to happen with it anyway. Even if you had all the money in the world, you still wouldn't be happy and you'd still be unfulfilled. So
100% agree. Yeah, but
the roadmap is, the money isn't the primary directive. It's stepping into understanding what your desires are and creating around that also adds value to the world. And then the result of that is you have more money.
Yeah, but keep in mind that I 100% agree with you. But I was talking about abundance more than money, and abundance is exactly what you're saying. That's what I'm looking for. Is to stepping into myself, into my authentic being, and give to the world, and be abundant from that point. You know what I mean? Whereas I get money, that's just a natural result. You know what I mean? But yeah, I 100% agree.
Thank you. Io?
Thank you.
First of all, I want to acknowledge you and just say how fantastic it is that you've just been so open and willing to be as open as you've been, and to be as vulnerable as you've been in this platform. So thank you for that, first of all. It's amazing. And I think what is also really, really interesting is the level of insight that you have about the subconscious, unconscious mind, and about the workings of the unconscious mind. You've clearly done, you say you've done some work, you've identified some of the blockages that you've got, you've identified, and I hope that today what Nathan and Dan have shared so far has helped you to perhaps get even more clearer about what blockages are there, even by just having somebody else articulate it or having somebody else hear you fully in the challenges that you've been facing and helping you to express that more clearly. So what I've identified is that there are a number of what I call limiting beliefs that are in the way of you creating the level of abundance that you want and having that manifest in the way that you want it to manifest. We've already looked at, the rejection during childhood and the way that impacts, and then there were limiting beliefs around not being worthy, not deserving the abundance. And you also mentioned, you said, if I get it, I'll be rejected by my family, and if I get it, I'll lose it. Now, these might sound like they're just thoughts that you have, but as a linguistic specialist, what I identify them as are limiting beliefs that are present unconsciously, that are running in the unconscious running in the background that are actually preventing you from stepping into the state of abundance that you want to occupy. So the first, I guess, recommendation would be to really work on letting go of those limiting beliefs. Now, there is stuff that you can do by yourself to assist yourself in letting go of limiting beliefs. It might be a case of investing in working with someone to assist you in letting go of those limiting beliefs and really doing the deep work that's required to do the deep work at the unconscious level to let go of those beliefs so that you can step into that space. And all of the things that Dan and Nathan have mentioned so far that could be potentially preventing you from stepping into that space, letting go of all of that stuff, and then actually stepping into this version of yourself that you want to be with this state of abundance fully present in your life. So I come back to now a question that you've been asked, and I want to get clear on something. And that question is, I think, something that both Dan and Nathan have asked, which is, what do you want? You've mentioned abundance and you've mentioned the state of abundance. Is it just a state, or is there something tangible when it comes to that state? Yes, there are things that are perhaps have been preventing you from stepping into that state. But if you could have things be the way that you want them to be, you've mentioned about, you know, investing in real estate and the other things that you want to get involved in if you had the financial opportunity to. Tell me about what it is that you want.
I would say the thing that I want the most is to really clean up myself so I can operate from my authentic being, the most natural one, and from there serve people being who I am, from using my experiences to serve other people, doing something that I really vibrate with, like something that bring enthusiasm to my every day and inspiration. And from there, as money will come by itself. Like money will come, and when I have it, or at the state I am, I wouldn't change much about my life. Mostly that the thing is just pretty much I would share more. Of course, I will travel. I will do things, but for what I found in my life, I get more. One thing that soccer gave me, for instance, that I didn't mention, is that soccer in a way taught me to be alive. So I know what is to be alive. I know what is to do something you love. I know what is to every day go happy to work, because I did it all my life. And I know what it's like not to think about terms of weekends, because when I play soccer, I was in a bubble that is of the soccer world. It's a different world. So that standard is high for me. So for me, it's hard to just be happy with our work from 9 to 5 and go after the benefits and all that, because I know that's not who I am. And so for me, the state of abundance is everything. I'm not picky. I think we are everything. So I'm not just talking about a financial abundance, but I'm talking about being abundant in enthusiasm, inspiration, and that feeling that you emanate to the world all the time, and that becomes like a magnet. So your whole field is full of that, and everything you get is that all the time.
Beautiful.
And that's what for me abundance is.
That's really beautiful. So in the context of what everybody has been discussing today, in the context of the challenges that have come up that you've been facing that potentially are preventing you from stepping into that, with everything that has been shared so far from the perspectives of Dan, Nathan, and myself, Do you have a clear understanding of what the problem is that's preventing you from accessing that state on a consistent basis?
Yes. One question that I think that what Dan says of the emotion and close your eyes and stay and
just 1 second. I don't want you to tell me about what the problem is. So if you're about to do that, then just stop there for a moment. I just want to know that you have an understanding of what the problem is and what you think the problem is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the unconscious.
Don't tell me about it. Don't tell me about it.
Yes. So just yes.
Not just yet. Okay. I just want to know that you have an understanding from everything that's been shared today, from your own understanding, from all of the work that you've done personally on yourself, that you have an understanding and perhaps a clearer understanding as a result of the conversations that you've had today about what the specific problem is, which if you were to get rid of it, would give you a greater opportunity to step into that state of abundance that you want to be able to step into and be in on a consistent basis. And you have an understanding about.
Yes, I do have an understanding.
Good. So are you willing to do an exercise with me?
Of course.
Okay, fantastic. Would you, what we're going to do is in a moment, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and I'm going to read out a number of statements and or questions. Now, when I read out the statements or questions, I don't want you to answer me. I want you to answer inside and let me know when you're ready for me to ask the next question or statement. Okay, so don't tell me what the answer is. Just want you to fully consider the question or statement that I'm asking you to fully consider. And then just give me a nod or say yes when you're ready for the next question or statement. Okay? Okay. So I want you to do this with your eyes closed in a moment. And when you close your eyes, I want you to keep them closed for the entire process. Okay. So you can close your eyes now. And the first question I'm going to ask you is in relation to everything that's been discussed today and in relation to the problem that presents itself as an obstacle to you having things be the way that you want them to be. The obstacle that presents itself to you being able to step into this state of abundance on a consistent basis. I want you to internally ask yourself the question, what's wrong? And when you've fully considered the question, I want you to let me know that you're ready for the next one.
Ready.
Good. What caused this problem?
Ready.
Good. How have you failed to resolve it?
Could you repeat that one?
Sure. How have you failed to resolve it?
Ready.
Very good. How can you overcome the solution to your problem?
Ready.
Good. I want you to go inside and try in vain to have the same problem.
Go inside and try to what?
Try to have the same problem. Try as hard as you can to have the same problem inside. And just let me know when you've done that.
Ready.
Very good. It was a terrible problem, wasn't it? Just let me know when you've fully considered that.
Ready.
When will you stop it from being a limitation?
Ready.
Good. What would you like to change?
Ready.
You want to make changes, haven't you?
What was it again?
You want to make changes, haven't you?
Yes.
Very good. What would it be like when you've made those changes now?
Ready.
Good. This is a long one, so I just want you to listen and allow the images to unfold in your mind. In the future, as you look back and see what it was like to have had that problem, as you think about it now, if you could make this change for yourself so that you could stop, having made that change and see yourself now.
Ready.
Good. Do you like the way you look? If you could make that change and look back at yourself having made that change now.
Would you say it again?
Sure. Do you like the way you look? If you could make that change and look back at yourself having made that change now.
Ready.
How many ways do you know that you've solved this?
How many ways you know that you what?
How many ways do you know that you have solved this problem?
Ready.
Very good. I know that you're changing and seeing things differently.
Ready?
Very good. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to now. Very good. Well done. Tell me how it feels different. What happened?
A certainty, in one word.
Good.
The certainty of just knowing, you know what I mean? Not believing anymore, knowing.
What do you know? What do you know now that you didn't know before?
I'll say myself.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You know that you can make changes, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know
and I know
you know that you can change this, don't you? You know that you have the power to make the changes that you need to make, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
No, exactly that. I know all that happens. I did it to myself, and I know I can have it. I can change it. There is nothing else but.
Okay, good. Well done. Thank you for being willing to do that with me. What are you doing to actually create the life that you want to have? I'd like to know what practices you do. Do you do any spirituality practices, any visualization, any energetic practices, like maybe on a daily basis that you could tell us about? Or is it just something that you're kind of open to discussing how you could move forward with some of this sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you. I do meditation pretty much every day.
Good.
And the main point of meditating is being present. So I do a little bit of guided meditation, and I kind of create my own guided meditations, like, because I believe that my cells only listen to my own voice. So I do that, and that in the inside, outside. I wrote a book recently. I just finished the second one.
Congratulations.
And I'm working on taking all my experiences and wrapping up and put them into a workshop.
Fantastic.
Which is based on a workshop about the relationship with yourself, which is what I've been working on.
Good. Sounds amazing. Sounds like that really ties into what it is that you want to create and have things be the way that you want them to be in the world. You're talking about, sharing your experiences and giving back and using your experiences to help other people. And it sounds like you're already on the path to doing some of that, which is going to assist you to step into that state of abundance and really be in that state on a more consistent basis. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Exactly. Yeah, I as I told you, like, it's all connected for me. Like, when I play soccer, part of playing soccer that I always keep me was this growing together with the team, where we all help each other, we all give bits, we all help each other to be better. So when I came out of that, I went into coaching. And to be honest, I went into coaching mostly because it was what I knew, but I fell in love with helping kids to empowering them on the pitch. So it wasn't most a coaching, but it was more about empowering their self-esteem, because it has to be allowed with that. So, and then I went into teaching literally because of that experience. But now that I've been teaching, it's very limited, the structure of the educational system. And I I think it's not working. It's not really helping people or
Okay.
kids, and it wasn't created for it in the first place. So I know we're going into a different place where people will start moving into for other alternatives of education and self growth. But yeah, is that? But I would like to turn it into going that direction, but always in a way of creating community, which is something that I missed, and I think part of all the things that I tend to isolate myself a lot.
Okay.
So I would like to go into that space of through sharing my experiences, make it into a community where we kind of synergetically we work together, grow together.
Sounds like a beautiful space to be in. One thing that I'd like to invite you to do on a consistent basis, and this ties into something that Dan and Nathan have both touched on, I think specifically Dan, and I think in his work plays a prominent part. Now, visualization is a really, really important part for me anyway of manifesting what it is that you want. But you've got to get really clear about what it is that you want. And you've spoken with great clarity just now about creating some of the things in your life and having, sharing what you want to share with the world. So one thing that I would recommend that you do is to get really clear about what that is. When you've got really clear about what that is, I would advise you to spend some time on a daily basis, consistently, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 3 minutes, whether it's 2 minutes first thing in the morning, stepping into the version of yourself that you want to be, doing exactly what it is that you want to be doing. Dan took you through a visualization process at the beginning of the call. Get real clarity about the version of yourself that you want to be and spend time with that version of yourself every single day. The important part for me about visualization is to incorporate into it your senses. So your feelings, your sight, what you're going to see, what you're going to hear, maybe even tastes and smells that are around you, the self-talk, what sorts of things you're saying to yourself. And when you create this version of yourself that you want to be, make sure that it's the richest, most powerful, most invigorating feeling that you would want to experience in that moment, in that version of yourself that you want to be, and step into that version and make sure that those feelings and all of those senses are the richest that they could possibly be every single time you step into that version of yourself. It's an incredibly powerful, visualization itself is an incredibly powerful tool. When you add those different dynamics, when you add this source of feelings, tastes, sounds, kinesthetic, what you might touch, the things that you're going to hear, the things that you say to yourself, it just takes it up to a whole nother dimension. It just takes it up to a very, very different level of manifestation and creation. The first step of that, though, like I said, is to get really clear about what it is that you want. The second step is to do the visualization process on a consistent basis. The third thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is to start taking action. You've already started writing, you've written your book, you're talking about, writing a second book, or that you've just written your second book. Getting out there, you want, obviously, we've had the situation with the world pandemic. So being in the community hasn't been as easy. Things are starting to open up now. So more opportunities are perhaps going to start presenting themselves. So I'm going to leave it there. I feel like I've said enough and hopefully have given you the opportunity to shift some of the energy that was there and make what I believe, and I saw a physiological shift in you when you just did the exercise that I took you through. I'm hoping that that is going to have made a fundamental difference in your clarity, your certainty, and your ability now to step into this version of abundance on a consistent basis that you want to be able to. So I really hope that that's helped. Do you have any questions about what I've said or what we've done?
No, I just want to thank you for inviting me and having me here.
You're very, very welcome. So I'm going to pass it over to Nathan. See whether Dan's got anything else to say. And Nathan, the floor is yours. I think your mic's on mute.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Super. Wow, that was awesome. And I believe there was a comment that came through earlier, and that was from Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Everybody else, you're welcome to comment. This is really supposed to be more interactive. But Elizabeth Rubin, Elizabeth was observing you, and she said that your eyes shifted, and that she could just see the shift in your face, and your face was clearer after that process. And so there was a shift that was very perceptible, from other people. Other people saw it, and so congratulations to you, because even the way you spoke about your vision also changed. The cool thing is, and that is really one of the things that I appreciate about how we do this in this trifecta of transformation. Um, it's really really unique, because each one of us can come from a slightly different angle and bring it all home, right? Because that process of questioning, what Dan had asked in the beginning, everything flowed to what I asked, and then to what Ayo asked, because we all started with this thing of abundance and money, right? And then, oh yeah, it's not really that, because then you go into the dad and all of that stuff, and now it really boils down to expression, abundance of expression, passion, freedom to be who you were meant to be, because you're an artist and you know that, right? It is a reason why you're expressing yourself in words like emotion, I feel, and the way you are literally seeing the world, right? You're a dreamer. You said you saw the game, you intellectually, right? And that's just because you're very right brained, right? So you see things that your dad is like, oh, tackle, block, push that guy, and you're seeing it differently. And so Dan had said something about identity. This is really kind of wrapping it up, is shifting the identity and really beginning to really love yourself for that who you are. Okay, I said we were going to glance back briefly, and Ayo did that, helped you glance back briefly and take care of what you need to take care of in the past. If you feel you haven't taken care of everything, repeat that exercise she did. You're going to have the recording of this. Close your eyes, make peace with whoever you needed to make peace with, because it's really that easy and it's really that simple. There's so much that was going on there. She definitely doesn't have the time to explain it to you, but there's so much that was going on there, right? And that whole thing is just not, it was not just a list of questions. There was a lot that was going on there. But repeat that again if you need to, because it will really help. Okay. A suggestion that I have for you, because it all started from abundance and it really started to shift towards passion and purpose, and that's really my thing also, is I invite you, one of the best ways to make peace with the past is to be grateful for the past. I invite you to be grateful for your past experiences. Okay. I invite you to be grateful for the way your dad treated you, for the way everybody else treated you, because it is what has made you who you are. See, they say this, Ruben. There's one of my favorite quotes, where basically in the voice of the all, the divine, the infinite spirit, the voice of God, he says, I have sent you nothing but angels. All of those people on your path that may have not treated you the way you would have loved to be treated were all angels on your path, because they gave you a very unique experience. Now, when you can connect that with your purpose, and you say, hey, I really want to help these kids create this experience because I know what community feels like, you'll start to see that there is a real pattern to your life. It wasn't an accident, because now you can feel a child, right? If you're trying to teach a child, if you're doing camp or whatever, you know how important it is to be seen, because you could be the only person that really sees that child. No one has to explain it to you because you felt it, right? So that is kind of one of those things that we sometimes miss. Your dad really gave you a gift of sight, a gift of feeling, that you probably would never have. Your middle brother most likely doesn't have that. Because now you can see, you can feel your way through the hearts of these children. You can create something very unique for the world, right? Because what you want is expression, something that helps you come alive, that makes you come alive. You knew what it felt like to come alive playing soccer. So that experience was not a waste. It was all leading you to where you are now. So when you can weave that into what you are getting ready to create, you sit down, you close your eyes, like what Ayo said. If you do your meditation for 20 minutes, cut it down to 15. Use the 5 minutes for that new identity that Dan spoke about. Okay? Create that new identity. You're not going to have a problem because you're an artist. That's what you do. You see stuff. So close your eyes, create, live in that new identity. Your body will move, right? When you move the mind, the body will just follow naturally. So, who you were in the past is not who you are after this particular call, because it's a different person. It's a different Ruben. And now what Ruben needs to do is build on that experience and then take action. Doesn't matter how small it is, Ruben, right? So I don't know exactly what it is you want to create, but if your job is to inspire young people, start small, do something. Because you have a lot of passion in you, and I can see it. We're throwing darts everywhere. You were like, and then you finally got to that. It's really in part passion, expression of purpose. So I really want to thank you for that. And it's funny because we call Dan calls himself the Dreamer CEO. So the value of a dream cannot be understated. I will leave you with this thought. It is from James Allen, and he said, "Dream lofty dreams, for as you dream, so shall you be." Your dream is a vision of what you shall one day be. It is a prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. Dream. Maybe you're growing up, your dad was like, "Oh, you dream too much. You come up with these tall tales." This is your gift, my friend. This is your gift. There's a reason why you're not in Colombia. There's a reason why you're in Canada. Because it could be because now you have the ability to bring that dream to life. I don't know if you wish to inspire kids in Colombia, if you wish to do it in Canada, but there is a reason why you're not still back home, why you're in Canada, where you have more resources. So think of everything, your life from where it started to where it is now. And I think you're going to do something fantastic. You have the ability. You've proven that you have the ability. It's not a question. You are good enough. If you got yourself to that height in soccer, you are good enough. If you got yourself to being the coach in Canada, you are good enough. If you're serving right now in the capacity of a teacher, hell yeah, you're good enough. So that shouldn't be a question. The question is, what shall I do with this greatness that is within me now, and create something? We're always here for you. So it's not just during this call. If you ever need, opinion, support from any single one of us, I'm sure I can speak for all of us. We're here for you, because we do this because this is what we love to do, right? It's not because, someone's paying us or whatever. That's really not it. Our job is that transformation to help you go be what you need to be out there in the world. So I personally thank you for it. I honor you for the time. I'm going to pass it on to Dan.
Well, I think you've covered the pertinent points, Nathan. My encouragement to you, Ruben, is to, as you go through your day, begin the process of stepping back into choosing for yourself in the smallest of things. Just challenge what your impulsive desire to do is. And instead, just say, hang on a minute, what do I want? Get into your heart more. What do I want? Is this what I want? Is this what I want to do? Start that dialogue and start expressing yourself. There's a question that I always invite people I work with to ask themselves: what feels good and does no harm? Because that's often the soul, the heart really speaking its true desire. What feels good and does no harm? as you're approaching questions, as you're going through things in your life from now on, just keep asking yourself that question. I've done that exercise that Io did with you. I've done it with her. It's a very, very powerful exercise. It's going to start creating some shifts. But on the back of those shifts, as things start to open up, as more windows of transmutation appear for you, just keep asking what feels good and does no harm. Keep coming back to those emotions: peace, tranquility, prosperity. See how many ways that you can introduce more of that into your life. Is it what you're watching? Is it who you're talking to? Is it what you're stepping into doing? Invite that energy, that emotional state more into your life, and keep asking what feels good and does no harm. And I can guarantee there'll be a difference in your life. Very much guarantee it.
Over to you, Ruben. If you got any closing thoughts, comments, epiphanies, it's all yours before we close out.
No, I just wanna first thank you very much. Like, this is incredible. The fact that you guys give me so much love, so much advice, your time, and out of the blue, if we can we can say it. Like, the most beautiful thing for me, and I appreciate, is that I don't even know who you are. Like, literally, I don't know you. You don't know me, and it will be all based in vibration. I don't know. I don't really care what you have achieved in your life, who you are, but I trust everything you're telling, and I appreciate everything you're telling me. And I think that's beautiful, because in a world where everything has turned into somebody authorizing you to be, or having a certificate, or having this and that and that, I don't care about that, because I can feel that all you're saying, it's real, and that's the first thing. So thank you very much, taking the time for considering me, and listening, and helping me. It's it doesn't have like, it's priceless. Yes, it's beyond words for me to tell you how much grateful I am. And I hope one day to meet you in person. State of abundance, I'll travel
That's
over
right.
there.
Amen.
That's right.
Yeah, like, it's incredible. Thank you very much. I don't even know where you guys at, but thank you very much. And whoever is watching this is completely amazing. Like, it's beautiful. And thank you very much for all your advices. I'll take them to heart, and I'm glad to hear that I get to get this recording, so I can debrief it, and take notes, and so I can study it, because
Absolutely.
I think you guys are quite on point in everything you told me. So no, I'm just so grateful. Thank you very much to each of you. Thank you, thank you,
We
thank
are
you.
we are absolutely honored. Thank you very much. Go give those kids what you didn't get. Go give them that love, because you know how important it is, right? Go give them that.
Do you know what? The thing is, from my experience as coaching many years, the people that need more help are the adults. Kids come out
Oh, that
with
too.
they are natural. You know what I mean? Kids come with that. They just lost it through time. So we need to get the adults so they get educated of what to do,
You,
because
you and the beauty of it too is you can still connect to that inner child, right? They're all
yeah,
it's still in there. There's a hurting kid in there. So
yeah.
you're right on point. Wherever it is you're called, like what Dan said, what feels good and does no harm. Wherever it is you're called, I don't think you'll be making a mistake. But we're excited to see where you're gonna get. We might have to have a trifecta alumni follow up here, to see where the folks that we have worked with and we've spoken to, and end up. But like I really, really seriously encourage you to reach out if you need any support, and we'll be very happy to support you moving on. And for anybody who's watching this, please feel free to comment. You're watching this afterwards, and if you wish to be a part of the hot seat, you have a question, a scenario, something that you would like coaching with, and would also love to bless everybody else with the benefit of what comes out of helping you, please feel free to reach out to any single one of us, Io, Dan, or myself, Nathan Akpan, and we would be happy to cue you on. There is a list, and we'll put you in where you fit in, and hopefully we can have you as a guest on the Trifecta of Transformation. And no matter what, be the best you can be. Thank you very much for watching. Again, Ruben, thanks for being here. And Io, do you have anything to add?
I've got one thing that keeps jumping in that I want to say, which is just coming back to something that both Nathan, you and Ruben touched on, which is a quote from, I believe, Frederick Douglass, that said that it's better to raise healthy children and to create healthy children than it is to mend broken adults. So I hear what you're saying, Ruben, about it's the adults that need the most help, but it's the adults that need the most help because they didn't get the support and the guidance when they were children. That's where it all starts. So your dream and your desire to, yes, coaching, and if it's coaching with adults, or if there is something that you can do with the children because you can really connect and resonate with where they've been and the hurts perhaps that they've experienced, then that might be, you know, somewhere for you to direct your energy to. You'll direct it in whatever area you believe is going to be most fruitful and beneficial for you and the world at, you know, large. But just to keep in mind that it's easier and better to raise healthy children and to create these beings that are abundantly resourceful in every area of their life than it is to mend broken adults. So just want you to keep that in mind. I want to thank you and acknowledge you for being so willing, like I said, and for being so vulnerable and open and sharing this space with us and sharing your energy with the rest of the people that are watching. Everybody who's watching the comments that are coming up, everyone's really appreciating you and, you know, sharing so much love with you. So thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate you. And thank you, Dan, and thank you, Nathan, for sharing the space with me too. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Yep, that's all I've got
Thank
too.
you. Thank
No
you very
matter
much.
what, we'll see you later. Thank you. Dan, are you going to make a goofy face or what?
Okay.
See you all. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ruben.
Are we live still? Have you ended the broadcast?
We're still live. Something for the blooper reel.